friends of Syracuse Opera. I am here in Binghamton. This is Alexandra Deshorties with Coffee with the Artists. And we're going to branch out this year from just artists. So it's going to be coffee and the people around the artists as well. Now we have some very exciting news, and that's why I'm in Binghamton today. And I'm here watching all the going-ons with Cenerentola. And I am here with the amazing John Rozzoni, who is the general director of Tri-Cities Opera. And I wanted him to be the first person on this series for this production because we have this exciting news that I've been teasing about for the past couple of weeks. That is, well, let's talk to John directly, shall we? So, hey, thank you so much for being here with me.
Thank you for having me.
So excited about what's happening. So can you tell us about it now?
Yeah, so I mean, it has been a real adventure over the past 2 years. It's hard to believe that it's been 2 years. Whew. And, you know, even before the COVID-19 pandemic, there were many, many talks about collaboration between Syracuse Opera and Tri-Cities Opera. And sort of the ground was never sort of right for it in the past. And so after going through such a challenging time for opera, for the arts, for the arts community in general, we began talking, Christian Capocaccia, the artistic and general director, as you know, and myself began talking about ways that potentially we could collaborate and realize some efficiency between the two companies that both create this wonderful, wonderful art form we call opera. And so it's been really exciting to explore that and find ways that we think we can move the opera industry forward through collaboration.
Yes.
So basically we have been working together to try to make plans to co-create operas, to co-create productions. And we're incredibly excited to present La Cenerentola, or Cinderella, together in a new production between Tri-Cities Opera and Syracuse Opera.
I'm very excited also to discuss this because it's been, as some of you may have seen me talk about these things before, I've always felt like everything we do, we need to try to move forward and improve, whether it's personally or artistically or as a people. And I personally, I've heard a lot during the pandemic about how we're going to rebuild better. And then the moment the pandemic starts easing out and we hope on its way out, the building better suddenly I felt got eclipsed by just go back to business as usual. When we artistically, I think, saw that as an opportunity to go, no, we can build better. And I think there is a craving for that. And I think that this is what we're trying to do. And this collaboration, I mean, I hope like in my wildest dream leads to some weird like consortium of people that have opera together and work together at building and promoting opera on a bigger, wider scale. I know that there was a lot of these things going on in Europe where you have certain associations that put together 4 or 5 opera houses, and they all work together on one production and they send it around to each opera house, and it's a real big deal and a real big thing. Do you think that that's something that maybe down the line for the future is like a dream that could be achieved?
I feel like, actually, interestingly, like TCO has been doing stuff like that throughout the pandemic. We've really been working with partners at other opera companies to build new productions, to work together to coordinate our resources, and use, you know, we have an extensive set and costume shop at Tri-Cities Opera in Binghamton that has been a real resource, not just to us during this time, but to other companies, basically sharing the expenses of building new productions, new costumes, and using that to make all of our money go further, to make bigger, better opera, and then share it between companies. And so I think for TCO, this relationship with Syracuse is an extension of a model that we've been digging into and working with already.
Right.
And the exciting thing about this is the exciting thing is that we are able to all keep our autonomy as companies, to all keep sort of artistic control, but also artistic collaboration in a way that allows for bigger, better, more fulfilling, more work for artists, really, as we said, moving the operatic art form forward in a way that is not exploitive. You know, it's been an interesting challenge of these times, or I guess COVID really showed sort of the underbelly of a lot of industries and how they weren't really functioning that well before COVID. And
Right.
when
I agree.
something goes wrong and something is hard, sometimes things collapse. And
Exactly.
I think we saw a lot of collapse of sort of the old way of doing things and a real need for a new way of doing things. And while I'm not claiming we've invented anything, that is incredibly groundbreaking, I think it really is, it's coming at things with a heart of openness and a heart of collaboration, and recognizing that, for me, it's removing the ego from the work in a big way. It's working together because this art form takes a village. This takes a miracle.
Oh my God! It takes a community.
It takes a community. It really does. And every sort of production is a miracle in its own right.
Yeah.
All the pieces that have to fall into place. And for one little company in Binghamton or one little company in Syracuse to manage all of those things at the level of expertise that is necessary to create a production of the splendor that this art form deserves, it's really, really hard. It's really, really taxing.
And it takes, I always tell people, like, you want an opera house that functions at a high level in your community, because opera houses can employ a lot of people. And I think that it's something that people tend to forget about the arts, is that I would love for people to imagine this pandemic without literature, without movies, without music, without visual arts, with no arts whatsoever. I want people to imagine that and wonder, would they have made it through this pandemic without all this? And all this
I wouldn't
have either. And all of this is also made by people who have very tenuous lives within the social structure. And when this happened, it highlighted that. And a lot of musicians and singers now are thinking, wait a minute, society needs the art at a different level than what I need from society, because I can remove myself and I can still be a performer and an artist in my sensitivity and in my persona. And I think that what's interesting is that what we're trying, I think, to do is to bring back actually a much more ancient model that feeds into a very deep bardic tradition that forgoes, though, the conventions of the past 30 years, because we have created all these bogged down conventions since the middle of the 1900s, and we have forgotten completely in the end about our real tradition, which is this almost bardic or Shakespearean tradition of the back of a trailer, you know. And I think, and I think that bringing that back, but doing it with our modern technology and at a heightened level that we can access, and asking the whole community to get involved, is absolutely the future of opera within the performing arts nest.
I agree. I think for me also, I think this goes right hand in hand with that, it's recognizing the humanity of everybody involved in the process. It's not transactional. It's not, well, you can deliver this high note, so you get to be on stage. It's really about, how do we, and I think Syracuse Opera and Tri-Cities Opera both have a real tradition of this, how do we nurture artists? How do we grow their careers? How do we give them opportunities? And how do they give us lots too? I mean, it's sort of this mutually beneficial relationship that I always seek as we're building this. I mean, I'm a firm believer that it can be win, 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 all the way around. It's not always the easiest way. It's not always the most straightforward way or the most simple way to my brain, but when we get the right people around the table and we start having the conversations, we end up there. And really, that's kind of how this all started. We got, board members from both companies around the table, Christian and I as well, and we just started talking about what would a collaboration look like? How do we make sure that both companies keep their autonomy, how they retain their independence, retain their identity in the communities, but how do we sort of realize the efficiencies that are possible? I mean, Syracuse Opera has a long history of using Tri-Cities Opera set and costumes. We have an extensive collection here, and they're beautiful costumes. Why reinvent the wheel? Why, there are so many companies that, build sets and throw them away. Tri-Cities Opera has a long tradition of building sets and retaining them for rental. And so throughout the years, we've rented to Syracuse. Even pre-pandemic, we did a Tosca in the fall, and there was a Tosca coming up in the spring at Syracuse, and it was sort of going to be the same set and costumes. And so it's like, how do we coordinate those efforts? We are not creating opera in a vacuum. We are not creating this art in a vacuum. We are a broader community of people who believe in this art form. And I think, especially in a time when our resources are, there are a lot of resources needed in a lot of places right now.
Yes.
And so it is the responsible thing to do for us to be efficient, to be good stewards of the funds entrusted to us by our communities, to get the most bang for our buck, and to deliver, like if there's a way for us to deliver bigger, better, more fulfilling, more rewarding opera and save money and actually build community connections across regions of this state, I mean, that's what we should do. And that's what we're doing. So it's been a road. It's been an exciting, interesting journey of so much growth and learning. But it's been really good and it's exciting. I feel like we're kind of on the brink of some really great things for opera in this area.
I agree. And as a former singer myself, like looking at what I wish had been done for me and my generation, and having to fight these things, and having to shake an institution that was unshakable at a time, and having a career that suffered from it, because nobody wants to hear that one person goes, but I would be hypocritical if I didn't get involved again on the ground with my knowledge and my experience and try to participate in throwing that out there as part of what can help everyone, or and becoming available as a steward of my own knowledge and the knowledge that was given to me, that I inherited from generations of mentors and people. And we have forgotten that the importance of the bardic tradition, sitting around a fire, and these stories have been passed around for generations, and now we have the torch, and we want to make sure that it exists again in the next generation. And for that to happen, some of us have to put ourselves out there and take risks with our feelings and our time and our means, and make sure that people get a chance to themselves when they pass that torch. Otherwise,
I think it's so spot on, because I think really it can't be about us. It has to be about the future. It has to be about how do we create this in a way, not that makes me feel good about me, but in a way that makes it relevant and accessible to the next generation of people who will bring it to life. And I think that's true of any tradition, anywhere, theater, music, dance, wherever you go. I mean, how do we, none of this is to be created in a vacuum. It is created in relationship with the audience, with the community. And so how do you bring your audience with you? And also, as you mentioned, train up the next generation of performers to know how to be sensitive to the, I hesitate to use the word consumer because it's a very different relationship.
It's very loaded.
It's loaded, but
to the audience,
to the appreciator, to the amateur, if you will, the lover
passive,
of opera.
The not directly active part of the family.
Exactly.
The receiver, the bringer of the energy. Because the truth is, when you have a good audience that loves you and wants you to be there and be part of this, you can feel it, and it's completely different than when you don't have an audience. That is the major difference for us. Like, I need the audience as a performer, because there is an exchange, there is a cathartic ground. I always say in opera, you have I've sang Medea and things like this, who are really deeply disturbing pieces of music. And I always felt how many of us, and I've said this 1,000 times, that how many people daily open their newspaper or their news program, whatever they read for news, and see X amount of people killed by family members, murder, suicide of a whole family, children. Every day. And we look at it and we feel and we go, well, I have to get on with my day. And there's nowhere to put these emotions. There's no common community catharsis of any sorts that engage into an energetic discourse about everything. But that's what opera provides. You can go in an opera and anonymously, cathartically have your moment about that news in public with other people feeling the same thing on their level at the same time, directed by the piece of art or music or performer on stage, so that you can let go of some of that luggage and you can go about your life without becoming a zombie.
Yeah.
And it's really important.
Yeah.
And, I think that's what we bring.
Yeah, I mean, good art really helps us process our lives. I mean, and that's why it's the amazing thing is that it is different for everybody every time, and yet we experience it together. And there's sort of that community in being there all as one. I mean, I think of an audience really as one, and it's this sort of this joint energy that is exchanged between the performers and the audience.
Yes.
But also we all have our unique life experiences that we bring to that moment, and that gives us the energy to feed. And I think it's really just that interchange that is everything about what we do. And I feel like if there's one thing we realized throughout the past 2 years and through a lot of digital and wonderful things that were done experientially in this time when we couldn't do what we always did, we realized that we miss our audiences. Not that we didn't know that in the beginning.
No, but we never had objectively.
Right, it's like becomes so much more evident that interchange is everything. It is not for us. It is for you. It is for the audience.
Yeah.
I mean, it is for what we do doesn't matter if nobody is there to experience it. And I think the lens has shifted so much in this industry and for our companies. And I think our goal now is like, let's make it for everybody.
Yeah.
Let's make it for everybody. And I don't guarantee that everybody's going to love every single opera that we create.
But they can recognize something in it that belongs to them.
The deep humanity of these stories. It's so deeply human. And I mean, what is more human than the human voice? But then these stories that are so
your original instrument.
Timeless. I mean, exactly. And they carry forward. And I think, and we tell them in such compelling ways, with such grandeur and splendor, but also the most beautiful, intimate, quiet moments that when all of that lines up, it is breathtaking. And I think back to this collaboration, when we're all scrambling to fundraise enough, when we're all scrambling to get something done in 2 weeks of rehearsal because we can't afford to keep people for longer than that, when we're all scrambling because we can't have enough stage managers in the room or people to assist the director, the art stops happening in some ways because we can't focus on it.
Right, because we're there hurdling instead of just letting it happen.
Yeah, and I think this helps us focus on the art. It really helps us focus on the art, and I'm here for that.
Me too. Well, thank you so much, John, for being here with us today. I'm really excited to share this. I'm really excited to see you in Syracuse. So we have 2 performances. One is the 10th of April here in Binghamton, and the other one is the 1st of May in Syracuse. So please share, bring all your friends, bring your family, come and have fun. It is really going to be spectacular. We have amazing voices. We have everything to make this a fabulous, fabulous night of theater. So come and join us. I'm going to sign off now. Alexandra Deshorties saying goodbye for Coffee with the Artist, and I will see you all very, very soon. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.